Hello guys, I'm Super Ron. That's a B. Hello guys, I'm Super Ron. Welcome back to the channel, and we're here at autoshack again for another awesome episode, and this week is very, very German. We've got this gorgeous Laguna Seeker Blue E46 M3 convertible you saw in a previous episode. I did the full mechanical restoration, so we had new brakes, new suspension, and a full engine service getting this up and running. It'd been off the road since 2013, and now it's up and running, so it's time to get on with the bodywork. After many, many years of working in a body shop, being a panel beater, I decided my time of filler and paint was over, so I don't get involved in any of the bodywork here at autoshack. So this is going to go over to the rest of the team, because as you saw in that previous episode, it is suffering very bad from a bad previous paint job, and all the lacquer is coming off. Luckily, the rest of the car is in near immaculate condition, so it's not going to take a lot to get it back to its glorious factory blue paint and getting the shine that it deserves. So my project this week is going to be this. It's a 1986 Porsche 911. We've had this in a few times before. It looks exactly the same as the turbo we had in a little while ago, but this one is in fact just a flat 6 Carrera, but it's had the full turbo body kit put on. So it's got the huge arches and the massive spoiler as well. The owner's kind of transitioning this to a fast road car, so we've got some more mods to do on it. And as you can see over the back there, I've already started on this. He wants to fit a half cage in the rear. We're going to take a little bit of weight out of it by removing the rear seats and the rear panels and a few little bits. Going to give it a full service. Got a few electrical problems to sort out. We've got a few heating problems to sort out, but I'm going to work through my list on this one. So you can see on the M3, we've already started to strip it down. And we've just been going over the panels, marking any little parking dinks, anything that we want to get done during it. But the main bits, we've got a little rust scab here, tiny little few bubbles here, and a little scab on there. Apart from that, the car is in fantastic condition. The front arches are absolutely mint, no rust at all. Sills are perfect. So although it's been off the road for nearly 10 years, it's going to be more of just a respray than a full restoration. Here you can see the bad previous paintwork has just peeled off, which is a shame. But luckily it hasn't affected the panels underneath, which are all in great condition. So we're taking the hard top off and painting that as well. So again, we've got a bit of lacquer peel. We've got a few parking dents to do. And we'll strip this one right down, bumpers off, doors off, do all the shuts, boot off. But my job is this one. So it's a very cool looking car. It's mistakenly seen usually as black, but it's actually a really dark green. And I've got the interior out because I've been trying the cage in. It's originally a 6-point cage, so it has the bits for the front door bars, but we're not using those. So I've smoothed this one off. And the other problem is this is meant for harnesses. So the cage goes right over where the seat belt mounts, right here. So I've made these little boxes to mount the seat belts on, so we can keep the original seat belts, original seats. That just started life. That's a bit of box section. Started that one, welded a captive nut and a hole, and that all lines up. So I'll show you that when it's all inside. So the problem we got is the seat belt should bolt into that there, which obviously now is behind the cage, and there's no room to get this in. So I've just moved it out a bit and made it part of the cage. So I've just marked this one up. Let's get this one back out and all welded on to look like that one. And all welded on. Definitely not going anywhere. All on with our Artec Mr. MIG. So I'll sand this down and it'll be nice and smooth and ready for paint, like that one. And all smoothed off, so they will hold the seatbelt nicely. And I've got the other 6-point bracket off as well. So next up, I've got to drill the holes into the floor and into the turret. Get it in the car. Got it all back in. Fits really nice and snug, which is why the seat belts didn't clear. I've just got this one bolted up. That's going to work perfectly. Right, let's get these bolt holes drilled. That's all drilled, bolted in solid, so that certainly isn't going anywhere now. Fits nice and snug. It's a really nice fitting cage. So we'll get this off to paint, and now we've got some things to do in the engine bay as well. So although it looks like a turbo from the outside, there is in fact no turbo in here. It's just a Carrera SC, but we've got to sort this horrible sound deadening. It's all fell apart up here. It's all gone hard and just broken up. So we have in fact got a brand new sound deadening pad. This is what it should be like, all nice and soft and flexible. So we've got to drag all the old one out. It goes right down the back of the engine bay, so it's a bit awkward. We'll probably just take this cover off and a few little bits and get this out. So a little update, got the Porsche engine bay all back together, got spark plugs changed, and the new sound deadening mat on the top that goes right down the back, so it's a bit tricky to get to. That's looking much better than the old one, which was falling apart. So we've got the oil change to do on this now, and that'll be the mechanicals done. Also saw us strip down the M3, so we're fully stripped down now. Just the glass to be taken out, and then we are ready for the prep work for the respray. Done it all properly, got all the handles out, all the trims, all the rubbers out. We'll be taking the doors and boots off when we actually respray it, so we'll do all the shuts. Doing it all properly. The bumpers are all off, all stripped down as well, ready for prep. So this is going to look awesome. We've also had a delivery for the Porsche. Some bits have just turned up. Got a super duper lightweight flywheel and upgraded clutch. Not sure what the 911 flywheels are normally like, but there's not really a lot to this one, so it's going to rev nice and freely now. Also got lots of window rubbers, trims, heater pipes, and some mirror upgrades. These are the original heavy flags. I don't know what's in these, but they weigh a ton. It's got some later 993 mirrors, which look much better, so we'll be painting them up and getting them on. And Lee's just got the cage painted. It's like a champagne titanium colour. Looks an absolute knockout. The seatbelt mounts. So now we'll do a little bit of re-trimming, because these are the quarter cards, and as you can see they stick out quite far and they're just hollow inside, but that hit the cage. So I've just with some black carpet trimmed the quarters, following all the body lines, so they look loads better. So that's going to sit in there nice and clean and tidy. I even cut out little circles and put them where the seatbelt holes used to be, so it all looks nice and smooth. So let's get this cage in. And all in. And that looks absolutely stunning. I wasn't sure on the colour choice at first. I thought it was a bit random. But that looks awesome. The paint finish on it is perfect. It's literally like a car body. And we've got it all in. Put some little caps on the end so it looks a bit neater. And this end wraps around. Gets covered up. So let's get these seat belts in. This rear end will be finished off. And that's the seat belts all in. I'm so happy with how these have come out. They work perfectly. Everything's dead in line. just as if they were behind there. So with them in, carry on to the next job. Lee's been busy painting and got the aero mirrors all painted. So it's got to do a bit of wiring and get these wired up on the car. Because as we saw when we took them off, the old ones were all broken, pulled out, and as it turned out, they weren't even connected to anything. So we'll get in the door and find out where the wiring is. Check. Another super common problem on these air-cooled 911s is under here, these fresh air vents see solid, meaning it only ever pumps hot air to your heater vents, never can get cold. But these ones are now freed off. That's the interior all back in and finished. Looking awesome. So now it's time to start on these go faster bits. Got the light and flywheel and the uprated clutch. So let's get it on the ramp, gearbox off, see what we can find. So we're up in the air, but after a little bit of research, it doesn't look quite a simple job as I first thought. I thought we were going to be able to leave the engine in, slide the gearbox off, and do the clutch and flywheel. But the gearbox is all the way up against what would be the bulkhead there, and the gearbox is all on studs around the bell housing, so you can't move the gearbox back. So it looks like the way to do it is take the whole thing out together. And luckily, because they're air cooled, we've got no water radiators, no coolant lines. I still need to drop the oil for the oil change. So it just means draining the oil tank. And everything else will come out together. So it's gear linkage, cable clutch, drop the CVs off, heater air pipes, and that's about it. A fuel line, oil line. So this is quite a bit of job escalation. So we'll drop all this out together. And I think we've got everything disconnected. Got the CVs off, both sides, throttle cable, speed sensor, reverse sensor. Got the gear linkage off inside, starter disconnected, heater hoses. Got the oil lines to the oil cooler and the oil tank, so they'll stay in the car. I think we're all about ready. And it was nice and simple in the bay. Just had 3 plugs there. Had a main multi-plug, disconnect the coil, 2 fuel lines, the brake booster, and then just the breathers that went to the oil tank. And that was about it. So we've just got an engine mount here, 2 underneath, and it should drop out. And it's out. That went much better than expected. Nothing got caught up. It's so simple to take out. You can tell this is definitely German. There's just 2 mounts here at the front, and it sits on this big cradle. Another one there, another one there. We just had this multi-plug, these 3 plugs here, one at the back, that's to the brake booster, a couple of fuel lines, had the coil stayed on, and that was it. The whole lot came out in one assembly. And this is all because you can't slide the gearbox off in situ, because you have this gear linkage shaft disappears into the car there, And because this has got such a thick bell housing and clutch, there's no room to move it this way because that's already up against the bulkhead. So we're now all out. We can whip this box off and take the clutch out. It would have been a lot easier to change that sound deadening pad without an engine in there. What a struggle that was. But as you can see, it's all in its own little sealed enclosure. There's a rubber band that goes all the way around. And that just seals on here all the way around. So let's get this gearbox off. Here's the old flywheel off and the new super duper lightweight new one. You can see the difference. There's not a lot of meat left on this one. The clutches, I think they look the same. So that'll be a nice direct replacement. But this flywheel's super cool. So we'll get that on. We've got all new flywheel bolts. And we can slot it all back together. And got everything all connected up. Got the drive shafts back on, starters all connected, air pipes, clutch mechanism, gearbox, gear linkage, all the oil coolers back on. So now I think we can fill up the gearbox through that hole there. We've got the Super Pumper 3000 out, so we'll fill the gearbox up, then we can fill the engine up and we'll be ready to roll. And we're all cleaned up, back down on the ground. I've just done a few finishing little touches. A job that wasn't a job, but then he brought them down for us. These super cool decals, sort of Top Gun colour scheme. Just fitted them and they look awesome in the grey and red. Matches the Porsche calipers. Mirrors make it look so much newer. They're a big hit with me. They just modernised the whole car. Just looks epic. And the cage inside as well. Really finishes this car off. I love it. You got the cage, you got the spoiler, you got the decals. I'm really coming around to this old Porsche. The cage looks absolutely awesome in the back. Proper club sport style, keeping the carpets and everything in the back. So subtle, and I love my seatbelt mod. The fact we can keep the seat belts and keep these seats just makes it so much more of an enjoyable car. And the M3 is all in the prep bay, ready to go. We actually had the dent man out to do all the little dinks down the side, so we haven't got to do any filler on this. It's all going to be prep work. The only repairs on the whole car now is just going to be this arch. Apart from that, it's just going to be prepping the paint ready for the respray. So I'll update this one in a later episode once it's all painted up. But we're just about ready to go. Got all the bits stripped off. Everything is good. So straight down the side now. And this one looks amazing. So like I said before with these 911s, you have to get them up to full operating temperature before you check the oil level. So we need to go out for a test drive, check everything's alright. Especially as we've taken the whole engine and gearbox and subframe out. And we'll see how much revier this flywheel is. See how it handles with all the upgraded bushes. Looks super cool glancing in the mirror and seeing that double cross roll cage, and then looking in the new side mirrors which look awesome, and then seeing that massive turbo whale tail as well. I think this car's starting to grow on me. We'll let it warm up a bit and then we'll see what difference this flywheel makes as well. We've fitted all new door rubbers and window seals and trims down the bottom because he is complaining of wind noise when going along, and that seems to have cured all that. Just the old rubbers have gone hard. Alright, so we're all warmed up. We're showing oil on the gauge now. See what it's like. And that's pretty awesome. Normally aspirated, power straight away. It's pretty good. So with all the jobs ticked off, that's going to bring this episode to an end. I'm sure any Porsche purists are going to be going absolutely mental at this. This does not abide by the Porsche code. Originally, it's a 1986 3.2 Carrera SC. It shouldn't have these wide arches. It shouldn't have the turbo spoiler. Definitely shouldn't have the 993 mirrors. The double cross on the cage is far too newer era for this car. This is more GT3 RS style cage. The 993 seats, everything about this car is wrong. And maybe that's why I love it. Modifying your car is about what you like, what you want to look at, and how you want to do it. And if I was to own one of these, this is pretty much how I'd do it. The mirrors have knocked easily 30 years off this. It looks so much newer. And the 930 turbo spoiler is, in my opinion, the best 911 spoiler you could get. And now with the light and flywheel just fitted, it's got a K&N and full exhaust system as well with the silencer delete. I think this is going to be an absolute blast on the B roads now. And with the decals I've just fitted, I think they look super cool. It's kind of a Top Gun colour scheme. Again, it's the wrong style for this. This style is for the 964s. Everything about this car is wrong, but I really do like it. So it's going to go back to this customer now. He uses this all the time, all year round, and he is going to be super happy with it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you subscribe because we always have all different cars, from classic Porsches to brand new Porsches to any kind of supercar, back to the normal everyday cars as well. Give this video a like, but until next time, make sure you have fun.